Hello, my name is Bianco. In this video I will tell a bit about my past and possibly about the future too. We have now 2025, it's July, and we have quite some matters to celebrate. I'm now having a 30-year celebration of the Swiss Bianco International Company that started in 1995 over in Switzerland, where I had to live back then. Then we also have to celebrate, or can celebrate, the 10 years US citizenship. That is quite an achievement by itself. 2007 I got the green card, and it took me 12 years to get the green card. That was all in all not easy, as you're gonna see as you listen to that video. So now it's 10 years anniversary of the US citizenship. All in all, quite a bit work and effort, we have to see that. I also want to point out that I did reach all those points legally. I come legally to USA with my green card. I made it the right way, the correct way, the legal way. Then after a good 8 years I did do my citizenship test, and of course I passed it, and so all is well and done the correct way, the legal way, because currently with ICE going around arresting all the illegal criminals that are by the millions apparently here in USA, that is a complete different subject. Since I never did do that, I never came illegally to USA. I cannot speak much about that, just that if you do that, you simply have quite likely not too high morals. You also quite likely did not get raised too well by your parents to know what is right and what is wrong. If you enter any other country without paperwork or without border checking and all that, that is a crime, as best as I know, in any country on the planet. And that is for good reason, because the people that live in that country, they basically say, yes, you can come the legal way, and if you come illegally, that is a negative, that is something is wrong either way. Minimum, as you enter the border, go over the border illegally, that is a crime. In USA you can get up to 20 years of prison time, and then every day that you stay illegally in country, it's another crime, minimum one crime, that you stay here without visa. But of course you're gonna work, you're gonna illegal work, you're not gonna pay taxes, you illegally rent a place to stay, and so on. What we have here in North Georgia most often is that criminals, illegal criminals, get caught by the police as they drive around either from work or to work, and they get caught by the police, arrested, and then ICE gonna come, I think once per week or once per month, something like that. Quite likely it depends how many they catch, and they pick them up, and then they have a free flight with the Adios airline. So that's been said, great work that ICE does, and I hope they can step by step arrest every criminal and deport them. That's just my personal opinion. Your opinion may vary, but I stand for the right and the legal way. That's how I did it, and not coming over the border by night in the fog or something like that. Anyway, I digress. So let's go back to in history a bit. 1970, the year as I was born in a tiny little village in Switzerland, and basically between Bern, the capital city in the middle, and the Swiss Alps. So the village is a bit in a valley, but still, if you watch out on one side of the valley, you watch towards Bern, and if you watch the other side of the valley, you see some of the Swiss Alps. So the history of my family is quite dispersed. So we have to look at that too to understand the situation, how that all led to my emigration to USA. So my grandmother was born and raised in Germany, in Bavaria, northern Bavaria. It's called Franken, the area, in a tiny village called Midwitz. I was a couple times in my life there. A really tiny place there back then. And after 45, the situation was so desperate there that she wanted to emigrate. And back then, she did quite likely not be able to go too far, so she did emigrate to Switzerland, where she did later on marriage my granddad. They had children. We just go a bit rough over the details. One son was my dad. He had a bad life already from start. A lot of misuse and so on. That is how that is. And then on my mother's side, my mother was born near the Austrian border, also really away from Warp. And there was the trouble during World War II. Until 45, we never did know if the grandpa on that side, her dad, did actually shoot the family dead or the German would run over the border, because already back then there were some horror stories about that situation there. So anyway, as my mother was old enough to leave the misuse there, she had a lot of abuse and misuse there. She did find a place to work in Warp at a cafeteria, at a tea room, as we call it back then. That tea room at least was still there a couple of years ago. I did not look it up recently, but that is a place there in Warp that was there for a long time. Different owners, of course, different generations. Anyway, there she did work and do that. She met my dad in Warp. He was born and grown up there in Warp, in a different area of Warp village, where that cafeteria, that tea room was. So they married 1970. I was born, and there was a lot of misuse and abuse from start as well. Not from my mother's side. I have to step back again and tell a bit how the situation is, as we would go back, say Germany prior World War One. The people that did go and fight in World War II, the men, of course, mainly maybe the woman as a first aid and so on. Anyway, if they survived World War One, they had horrible experiences, and that gave them some sort of PTSD, post-traumatic syndrome, so it affected their life. So they had then children, at least some of them, after World War One. Those children had to go by World War Two. If they survived it, they had another PTSD, a damage And then, of course, the Cold War came, and the time there between East Germany and West Germany, that was not easy either. But you see what I'm wanna refer to basically as Konrebi, a famous YouTuber from Germany, did point that out a long time ago in one of his videos. If you have this over generations, the people get more and more PTSD, more and more troubled in the mind if they don't feel it, if they don't do something about it, if they don't change for the good, you know. So with me, that would fast forward. With me, that was basically the same. As I was born, the early time, I was really troubled with the whole situation. I also acted like this, but then there was a certain point, minimum in 1984, as I did wake up and I did completely change in life, in my outlook of life, in my behaving, in my how I just wanted to go on in life. Because back then, of course, I did not know it 100%, but I saw the correct direction, what I want to do, how I want to be, what I want to reach in life, because we need to have a hard cut in life, in the bad, to cut off the bad situation and have a positive outlook and a positive view and work for the future. That is really important, because many people, for whatever reason, they can't do that. They are not smart enough. I don't know. They simply hang in there, and it is declining over generations. And then you have situations like it is today in 2025 over in the German-speaking Europe, where the decline is obviously to see for everyone that really watches the big picture and the details. So anyway, 1984, I did wake up, did completely change. Then I did think, yeah, that would be enough if I do that, and I can still stay in Switzerland and get things done there, and get a well life, you know. I mean, after all, I did not wanna do fly to the moon or God knows what. That would be not easy or impossible to reach. I wanted to do my company, have a better family, have a better house. I'm sure for you people here in USA, pursuit of happiness, what we call it here in USA, it's completely understanding, but even to do those simple things, that was way too much asked for in Switzerland. So in 1995, I did found my company. I did figure out what I can do best in life is working with metal and workmanship in general, with knives, with firearms, with military equipment, and so on. And that I wanted to pursue. After all, we still had a pretty good gun law and knife law back then, but it was already declining on the one side. On the other side, I'm gonna make a separate video about it, how the Swiss people got cheated out of semi-automatic sporting rifles. Just saying, I work on that video as well, because it's part of the outlook on the past. As we celebrate this year, we still need to look and remember the past as well. So it was a bit in between, that the law was still pretty good, and I think, yeah, we can do something, we can get going and this and that, but no, unfortunately it was not possible. We again have to step back and look at Switzerland. What is Switzerland? It's a country, it's a government, it's a bunch of people. Unfortunately, I cannot say much at all good about any of those. So let's start with the Swiss government. It's just a trash, a garbage, a criminal organization, a mafia, how I call it, that is basically there to live off the general population in a parasitic way by stealing them the money, by taxing, by governing the general life, to say this is all banned, you can't do this, you can't do that. If you need you need a Bewilligung, a permit, and we know here in USA if you need a permit, that is not freedom, that is just a crime against free humans. And then of course we have let's step a bit back. So maybe you remember back then, at least the older ones from you, remember back then as you grow up and they said, yeah, Russia is the evil, the Soviet Union, you know, the communists and all that. And then later on with Cuba, you know, as Cuba taken over by the criminals from the communists and all that, you know. The same or similar is for me back then East Germany, you know, because West Germany is the king, is the good people, you know. That is not true either, but East Germany, that is the evil part. There are the communists, the criminals, the mafia, blah blah blah, and they put it all down, yeah. And for me personally, I was a couple times over in East Germany. The first time actually, as the East Germany was still closed, and I saw firsthand how the people there live and all that, and no, it's not good at all. But the point that I want to go through is, many people say, yeah, this is good, this is perfect, it works, those are the good people, but no, in reality they are not. And that is the way how it is with Switzerland. It is not good there. It is not good there. It was not good there, and there is no end in sight that ever gonna be good there for the people, for all of the people at all, because the mindset is still not there. The people are, the general population are in general just there to be misused, to take the money away, to have to follow the fake laws, and this is banned, that is banned, there it's banned, you need a permit, and then you need to pay, and after a year we take the permit away because we just feel like it, because we are the criminals from a fake government. And I can say that here because it's freedom of speech. I'm in USA, I'm US citizen, and for the life in me, I'm never gonna go back for a single second to Switzerland anymore, or how I call it, the shitty land. And that is the point that I wanna point out. As a side note also, we have for quite a while some immigrants, illegal immigrants, and asylum seekers in Europe, in the German-speaking part, that grab the money from the taxpayer, and the fake government gives them the money, and they go home. I say home to Syria or Palestine or wherever they come from. They said they did have to flee because they would get harmed on the body and on the life, and then they go home for vacation, for a paid vacation, sometimes every year, sometimes multiple times per year. And I can assure you, as a refugee, as a immigrant, as a legal immigrant here in USA, if you have such a bad situation, possibly even badder than I had it, you're not gonna go home for vacation, because the fear that something bad gonna happen to you, especially as a revenge, because you made it actually and you could leave, that is too big in this regard. So that is all a fake, and that's why I say, for me, 110%, I never gonna go back to shitty land. I have no reasons to go, because it's still a shit like it was back then a shit, it only got a bigger shit nowadays. And it's still no end in sight. It is how it is. I'm glad that I'm gone. So this is part 1. I continue with part 2.